everyone, this is Eugene Roddenberry.
Dr. Mohammed Noor.
Adam Nimoy, Leonard Nimoy's son.
This is Leonard Crowfoot.
This is Dr. Aaron McDonald, Star Trek Science Advisor and Lieutenant Commander McDonald on Star Trek Prodigy.
And you're listening to
Humanist Trek.
Humanist Trek.
You're listening to Humanist Trek.
the Humanist Trek podcast.
And you're listening to Humanist Trek, a fabulous, fabulous show.
Enjoy.
And don't worry, you can do your Temporal Mechanics 101 homework later.
Aw, Allie, remember the scientific community? Remember consensus?
Yeah, remember Alex? Remember?
The one that got defunded? Yeah,
Remember?
that one.
Remember?
Mm-hmm. Remember? You remember? I remember. You
remember Star Wars.
Perhaps I could use this as an excuse to go to those far-off planets with little polka-dotted people if necessary, and be able to talk about love, war, nature, God, sex, all those things that go to make up the excitement of the human condition.
This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Welcome aboard.
Jean-Luc Picard to the Starship Enterprise.
You want to review your rapid progress?
That nonsense is centuries behind us. To the Starship Enterprise.
Oh, yeah?
That is enough, damn it!
Tempo, mon capitan.
To the Starship Enterprise.
But you can't deny that you're still a dangerous, savage child race.
Of the planet Earth.
You just don't get it, do you, Jean-Luc? That is the exploration that awaits you. Not mapping stars and studying nebula, but charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
Peldor Joy, and welcome to Humanist Trek. It's a comedy Star Trek podcast about the humanism in Star Trek. I'm Sarah Ray.
And I'm Allie Ashmead.
It's a comedy Star Trek podcast about the humanism in Star Trek. I'm Sarah Ray.
And I'm Allie Ashmead.
And this is the part I'd never know what to say. Like, what's on your mind, Allie?
Nothing really going on, just except the world is burning.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's a great time to bring back an extinct species.
yeah.
What a terrible idea. So this direwolf thing, I haven't been following it too closely, but I want to say everybody, the headlines were all like, we've reintroduced the direwolf back into the world or whatever that is. And also,
well,
I didn't know what a direwolf was to start with.
Did you not watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Oh, you did not?
No.
Oh,
I'm one of the 10 people who did not.
Oh my goodness. Blasphemy. You know nothing, Sarah Ray.
I don't know anything.
That's what you know nothing, Jon Snow. You don't even know what that means.
No, I don't.
No. So each of the Stark kids had their own like direwolf protector, and these things were fucking massive. Big white, or I think they were white, or at least Arya's was. But anyway, they were just fucking massive, and they would protect them. They protect the kids. And did you see the pictures of the little direwolves? They're so cute.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Adorable little pups. Uh-huh.
It'd be funny if they grow up and eat the faces off of the people that created them. But yeah, the way that they took DNA from existing gray wolves, genetic information, and then they extracted DNA from fossils found in Ohio and Ohio and Idaho.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
What have we done?
Because I guess in the wild, the gray wolves are struggling and they've lost their natural habitat. So I guess this is something that they wanted to do. Because right now, the gray wolves are going to probably lose federal protection because of everything that's being cut. It's going to be a free-for-all. But I guess the motivation behind it was, let's make sure they're not going to go extinct. But there's some ethical concerns that it raised. And that's when, like, isn't there oversight to keep us from doing some Jurassic Park shit?
There ought to be.
Yeah, I remember when Jurassic Park came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, they can't do that. They'll never be able to do that. This is just a movie. And then here we are. The Jurassic Park is next. And while I balk at the idea, would I go to that park? Fuck yeah, I'll go. Fuck yeah, we go.
Oh my God.
Wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
you have to. How would you know?
Yeah. If there is a live dinosaur walking around, you're gonna fucking want to see it.
Well, I don't know. Bringing back an extinct species is really fucking with like time in a way that I don't That's what these ethical concerns are about. Like, who are we, God, to bring back the dead or whatever?
I don't know. There's a way to save the wolves without bringing back the dire wolf. They weren't even here. So let's focus on the ones that are here and try to save those and reinstate those protections.
Yeah, because this is like bringing species from the past into the future, and you really don't want to fuck with time like that.
No.
All kinds of crazy occurrences could happen, like we see this week in Star Trek: The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 24, We'll Always Have Paris.
Commander, you'll soon be getting an intruder alert.
What? I've got something, sir.
Intruder alert, sir. It's an old-style starship, sir. Constellation class, heading this way under impulse com.
Number one, kindly take charge of our guests until we have time to decide what we're going to do with them. Sir, number one, keep them out of my way.
The D is headed to Sorona 8 for some shore leave, and Picard's gotten a head start by engaging some UC lieutenant in some fencing in the gym when something kind of creepy happens. Picard scores a point, and the lieutenant asks, "What was that technique?" And Picard replies, "The technique of a desperate man." Picard scores a point, and the lieutenant asks, "What was that technique?" And Picard replies, "The technique of a desperate man."
No, really, what was that? Because we just had deja vu in real time. Picard immediately calls the bridge and says, "Did something just happen up on the... Y'all doing something? What are y'all fucking around with? Did you push a button or something?"
Riker confirms they experienced it on the bridge as well. And this lieutenant was only named in the credits. Lieutenant Dean was never spoken on screen.
Yeah.
Dean is played by Dan Kern, who we will see again in Star Trek Voyager.
Mm-hmm. In full makeup, so we won't see his face.
Picard arrives on the bridge, and he's getting updates from everyone. And Worf gets an emergency call from the Pegasus Minor system. And this recorded call is frantic. It's some guy called Dr. Mannheim, and he's calling for all ships to respond and give some coordinates. So Picard orders a course to those coordinates, and Riker asks Picard if he thinks there's some connection between that time loop thing and this phone call.
When Picard first heard the mention of Mannheim's name, his face registers some recognition. And there is a connection between the time distortion and this distress signal, because Picard divulges that this Mannheim dude went off to work on experiments relating to nonlinear time 15 years ago. So it's got to be him.
On guard.
So we're 4 hours, 35 minutes away, and Data cracks open the Encyclopedia Britannica entry on Dr. Mannheim. He's a highly respected scientist who advanced several time-related theories, but none of them received wide acceptance from the scientific community. Aw, Allie, remember the scientific community?
Oh, I remember.
Remember Consensus?
Yeah. Remember Alex? Remember?
The one that got defunded? Yeah,
remember?
that one?
Remember?
Mm-hmm. Remember? You remember? I remember. You
remember Star Wars.
Hey, remember Ghostbusters? Oh, I remember.
Anyway, 15 years ago, he and his team, more widely known as Dr. Mannheim and the Steamrollers.
I thought about that too. I love that group. I love them.
Me too.
I listen to them every Christmas.
Yes. Their music was in the Osborne Family Spectacle of Lights at Disney Studios, and so we loved going to that every year. But that's what it reminds me of. The lights flashing, coming off and on with the music. Yeah. Picard says Mannheim was teaching at the university when he was in Paris, but never got the chance to meet. And so Picard orders to continue trying to determine if this time loop thing was isolated to the D or not. And as he leaves to go get out of his gym clothes, Troy's like, hey, we should talk.
He's like, shit. Goddamn woman that can read my mind.
She's like, I think this is a topic you might want to discuss in private. But he's like, I have nothing to hide. Let's have it. And she's like, well, you heard that guy's name and you had this real intense emotional reaction in your pants. And I don't want to pry. This isn't my place, but unresolved emotion can affect your judgment. So clearly there's something more going on here that we don't really know yet, but Troy is sensing it.
She tells him to try to confront the issues. She knows it's not easy for him, but she's like, you've got a few hours, take some time and analyze how you're feeling so that you can put them into perspective.
Yeah, stop hiding your feelings and fucking work on your shit, man.
Man, you know what? I'm so thankful that Troy is there. Like, even in the 80s, we knew society didn't embrace it, but we knew that therapy and talking about your feelings was what you needed to do for men and women.
Yeah. We see Picard return to the gym and clean his fencing foil, and then, back in uniform, he steps into the turbolift and decides not to go back to the bridge, but to visit Holodeck 3 for a little diversion. And he calls up the Café des Artistes in Paris and is very specific about the day and time. 22 years ago, April the 9th, and for some reason he says both 1500 hours and 3 o'clock, which are the same thing. I digress.
The computer knows what the fuck that is, so you don't need to say it twice.
When the holodeck doors open, there's that fucking mall display shelf thing from Farpoint Station. And the head waiter comes out and greets Picard. And I don't know if you noticed this. Behind them, there is a musician playing this weird pipe instrument. And it totally looks like he's just jerking off a bunch of glass test tube kind of things. Do you remember this?
I did not pay attention.
Put a pin in that, because this is another one of those random-ass threads that Lower Decks pulls on later.
Don't waste those big Vulcan brain juices, Talene. He's just a novelty beach crooner.
Krog is my favorite musician.
Oh, sorry. I've heard he's very, tropical.
He is a master of the vibe tubes.
Nice. I love that. I love that they make you go back and notice the things that you didn't notice before. So good for you, Lower Decks. I did not recognize. I didn't notice.
I don't think I would have noticed it had I not seen the Lower Decks episode about it and been like, oh, I recognize that because I've seen it recently.
Searching.
Okay, see this guy?
Oh. Yeah. I see it.
Yeah, this guy back here jerking off those tubes.
Totally jerking off a bunch of glass tubes.
Is this your first time in Paris?
He's just gracefully moving his hands up and down them.
He's got to feel real weird about that. Like, he gets the call, hey, we need you as an extra. You want me to what?
Okay, how much does it pay?
All right, I've got to eat. Man's got to eat.
The waiter here is Edouard, played by Jean-Paul Vignon, who, in addition to being an actor, was also a recording artist in France, appearing 8 times on Ed Sullivan, 33 on Merv Griffin, and 7 times on Johnny Carson.
Wow.
Yeah.
Toutes ces nuits, pourquoi, pour qui? Et ce matin qui revient pour rien.
Edouard escorts Jean-Luc to a table, but on the way, Picard asks for a specific table. He offers wine and cheese, but Picard says he's just here for the view and maybe some memories. See, I was supposed to meet somebody here at this very table, actually.
And Eduardo says, oh, she didn't show up? And this is when we learn the thing that's weighing on Picard is that, no, she probably showed up. I don't know, because I was the one who didn't show up.
Yeah. Edouard leaves, promising to bring Picard something special, and Picard notices 2 women at the next table having a very similar experience. Gabrielle seems to have had quite the night last night with her mystery man and is just sure he's coming like he said he would. But her girlfriend Francine has a much clearer mind about all of this. She knows he's not coming, and so she leaves, and that leaves Gabrielle to wait alone. Kelly Ashmore plays Francine. She went on to feature in the 1989 thriller Nowhere to Run.
Oh, man. I don't remember. I've seen it. I probably don't remember.
And Isabel Lorca, no relation,
Captain Gabriel Lorca, welcome to Discovery.
plays Gabrielle. She's done quite a bit of TV and movies. So now Picard is staring at this young woman who is barely wearing that dress. And in any other situation, I would think this is super creepy.
Yeah. But I don't know if he created the scenario. I imagine he did. Because you can create these scenarios in the holodeck. So, but
Yeah.
I guess he's looking at her as maybe that woman that he kind of stood up 20 some years ago.
And he's taking this opportunity to say out loud why he never showed up that day 22 years ago. Gabrielle gives in to the reality of her situation and asks, "What did I do to drive him away?" And Picard says, "Well, maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was him. It's not you, it's me." Maybe he was afraid of being connected, rooted. Perhaps if he's as young as you are, he doesn't know what he wants.
He's annoying the shit out of himself by saying all this stuff. He's like, "Oh, I've had enough of this self-indulgence," and he walks out. Then he goes to the bridge, and Riker lets them know that they've received communications from other places in the system that they've experienced this weird time distortion as well. Someone described it as a hiccup. And of course, Data says, well, it's a hiccup would not be the correct analogy. I'm wondering, because I really wanted him to finish that sentence. He's like, it's not a hiccup, because a hiccup is a spasmodic inhalation with closure of the glottis, accompanied by yada, yada, yada. He says what occurred would be best represented as, and I really wanted him to.
I know.
Like, what? What? But they always shut him up when he starts explaining.
Okay, 30 seconds on the clock. What occurred was actually more like what bodily function?
It wasn't an orgasm, because then again, it's way too short. Oh, and a male ejaculation, because that's really quick.
Change.
And, your turn.
Let's do improv. Change. A muscle spasm.
Okay, yeah, that works. A cramp. Oh,
yeah.
A cramp in your fucking hand. Oh, that hurts.
A tumor. It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor. A brain aneurysm. I would really like to do an improv.
I would too. A class?
Like or just an exercise. Like you can do it live.
Yeah.
It'd be hilarious.
That would be so fun. They arrive at the coordinates, but nothing's there. Instead, they get another message with another set of coordinates, which will take them to a very remote area in the Vandor system, which has binary stars, one a B-class giant and the other a pulsar. And when they arrive at those coordinates, they find themselves in orbit of Vandor 4 and detect a small force field on the surface, which is impenetrable. So Picard makes a phone call, but very interestingly, because he starts to say, "This is Captain Picard of the USS Enterprise," like he always does. But this time he stops himself and corrects to, "This is the captain of the Enterprise." Doesn't say his name.
So a woman answers the phone. She's like so happy that they've answered, but she doesn't know what to do. She's like, "Everybody's dead, and there's only two of us." And he's having convulsions. And they can't lock onto her coordinates to beam her out because of this force field. Picard's like, "Well, can you try to turn it off?" So she goes back for a second, and then she's like, "Okay, it's off." And so they lock onto the coordinates of the two people, one who's having convulsions and her, and they beam them directly to sickbay. And then Picard just gets the fuck up, and he's like, "That's where I'll be. I'll be in sickbay." And then I love how, I don't know, the militariness of it. Like, he's headed to the turbo lift to go to sickbay, and he just says, "Number one, Mr. Data." They get the fuck up and go with him. It's like it's just so duty heavy. It's just impressive.
I didn't get that at all. I got Picard was, "I'm going to sickbay to see my girl," and wasn't like thinking about the work part of it. And then he gets up to the door and he pauses and he's like, "Oh shit, yes, you guys should probably come with me."
It's funny. I didn't see that. Well, I feel like he did leave as an afterthought because they don't really know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Allie, I'm a little mad right now.
Uh-oh.
Picard will beam his old flame directly to sickbay, but not Tasha? No, Tasha gets transported to the transporter room and somebody has to carry her ass down the hall.
Oh, interesting. Little favoritism.
A little bit.
Interesting.
They just kept doing Tasha dirty.
Yeah.
We see a blonde woman in a shimmery blue outfit and an older man who's convulsing beam onto the floor. Apparently, Mannheim has been convulsing like this for several hours, which is kind of incredible. And Crusher gives him a hypo that kind of gives him some relief. And she's preparing to run tests when Picard arrives at the door. And Mrs. Mannheim turns around and whispers, Jean-Luc? And in the background, I don't know if you noticed this.
Yes,
Crusher
I did.
whips her head around like, excuse the fuck out of me.
Oh, no, I didn't notice that, but I did know. I did notice when she said, oh, I thought that voice sounded familiar. Who else could have charged to my rescue? And then Data and Riker look at each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny I didn't notice Crusher, but because I did notice Data and Riker.
That's funny. And I didn't notice Data and Riker.
Yep, they're standing at the door and they just kind of look slowly at each other. I'm like, okay, this is why.
Open hailing frequencies.
Hailing frequencies open, sir.
This is the captain of the USS Enterprise, responding to your call for help.
Picard introduces his crew and then introduces her to them, and he pauses when he says, this is Janice Mannheim. You know that there's a pad somewhere with Janice Picard written over and over and over again, page after page.
I think everyone's done that,
right?
When they were really young and adolescent and dreaming of getting married to that person.
Yep.
Gag.
Oh, Janice is played by Michelle Phillips, who was a member of the band The Mamas and the Papas.
Mamas and the Papas, yeah.
And co-wrote California Dreamin' with her husband, John. I also read that she gave Patrick Stewart the panties she wore during the filming of this episode.
The panties?
Uh-huh. And he reportedly kept them pinned on his dressing room door for the rest of the series.
Ew.
But the sources were really sketchy, so I don't know if that's I don't know how much truth we can put in that one.
All the leaves are brown.
And the crotch is gray.
I've been for a walk in sick bay. Tried to save my husband. Oh my God.
Oh, yes. So good. Picard escorts her and the others into Crusher's office, where Riker just casually takes a seat at Beverly's desk. I thought that was some peak Riker energy.
Total Riker energy. He owns a room no matter where he is, and he will sit his ass down or prop his foot up wherever. Everyone needs Riker energy. That's a phrase now.
Janice explains that the rest of the crew were working in the second lab. Something happened a couple of weeks ago, and they were all killed. And Picard's like, in a lab, you say? You didn't happen to see tiny shimmering lights in the sand, did you?
Ugly bags of mostly water. They want her to talk about Dr. Mannheim's work. In one instance, they call him doctor, and then another instance, they call him professor. So,
yeah.
I guess both. But she talks about that he'd always been interested in time, which Picard knew. He never believed that time was immutable any more than space was immutable. And his theory now is that we reside in one infinite dimension, and what holds us here is the constancy of time. And then what he's been trying to do is change that constancy of time, and it would create some opening to another dimension. Riker is like, okay, well, this explains what happened. And she's like, oh, shit. Did we do something? Did you guys feel anything up here? And sure enough, Picard confirms, yeah, whatever you all did, we're feeling it like light years away, maybe even further.
Mannheim had said he was very close to proving his theories, and then the accident happened. So she's starting to understand that these experiments were more dangerous than Mannheim let on, which explains all the precautions he had started taking. The force field, the security system, the safe room he made her go into, which protected her from whatever this accident was, apparently. And like every Star Trek scientist, the closer he got to realizing his dream, the more obsessed and crazy he became.
Mm-hmm.
So he's another one of those guys, apparently.
Yeah.
This conversation gets pretty awkward as she turns to Picard and she's like, well, this isn't how I ever expected to see you again. And he's like, yeah, me too. And she talks about, like, oh, you've done so well for yourself, the starship, the travel, it's everything you ever wanted. And he gets kind of like weak-kneed a little and stumbles around saying, well, not everything works out the way you think it's gonna. But then he turns it back to business. We got to get down to the lab and see what the hell's going on down there. But she said one of the scientists protected it so that no one could get in.
Beverly comes in and gives an update on her husband. She says to Janice when she's there, she's like, he's resting, but she's going to do some more tests. And then Janice excuses herself, kisses Picard on the cheek in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Embarrassing. And of course, Beverly's like, what the fuck is this?
Picard's like, she's just an old friend, Beverly. This isn't the prelude to an old flame fight. Ding, 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 old flame fight.
Janice is gone, so now she can kind of talk freely. And she's like, well, I'm really concerned about her husband because he's dying. His neurochemistry has been affected. She's never seen anything like it before. And she thinks maybe he has a couple of days. But all she can do right now is just keep him stable and try until she can figure out what's causing it.
Picard, Riker, and Data are entering a turbo lift as Data explains that the effects of the time distortions are expanding further out from the planet. And they talk about Mannheim on this elevator ride. Picard, Riker, and Data are entering a turbo lift as Data explains that the effects of the time distortions are expanding further out from the planet. And they talk about Mannheim on this elevator ride. But when the doors open, another set of Picard, Riker, and Data are in the hallway outside, about to enter, as hallway Data explains that the effects of the time distortions are expanding further out from the planet. This was a really fun moment.
Yeah, they're looking at each other.
This confirms for hallway Data that the Mannheim effect is becoming more pronounced, and explains that the people they saw on the turbo lift aren't like duplicates or whatever. They're us. They're just on a different point in time on the same time continuum that we are on.
Like a few seconds ahead.
Yeah, like if you could literally see 2 seconds into the future.
That would be really kind of cool.
It would
actually.
be. Yeah.
Actually, I'd want more than 2 seconds.
Me too. Yeah. 2,000 years, maybe. The turbo lift doors open again, and this time it's empty. So this time loop is just really fucking weird. In the ready room, Data and Riker give their book report on what they've learned. The secondary lab is on the far side of the planet, destroyed, but no idea what destroyed it. Also, there's a massive energy store deep in this planet, concentrated near Mannheim's primary lab, but we don't know what it's for yet. And Data thinks that Mannheim developed some method of storing energy from the pulsar. So all we can do now is beam down, try to get past the Brinks laboratory security system, and hopefully Mannheim left good notes.
So in the transporter room, Riker, Worf, and Data are about to beam down. But the chief that's handling the transporter does warn him, like, look, there's a lack of integrity at the landing point. And when he's trying to beam them, they're not completely materializing down on the planet. And he tells the bridge, I'm losing them. And Picard's like, okay, well, bring them back. And he tries to bring them back, and he says that there's some sort of bouncing effect, so he can't get them to materialize either way.
This is where we started. If we are us.
Oh, we are us, sir. But they are also us. So indeed, we are both us, at different points along the same time continuum.
So they keep trying, and they finally materialize back in the transporter room. And Riker's like, why are we still here? The chief's like, well, you're lucky you're fucking in one piece and that you made it back at all.
We learn here that the transporter op's name is Herbert.
Oh, he's a Herbert.
He's a Herbert.
Oh, he's a Herbert.
Oh, Herbert, you are stiff.
And Herbert is played by Lance Spellerberg. I don't know him. Then we're in sickbay, where Paul Mannheim has regained consciousness. Mannheim is played by Rod Loomis, who played Sigmund Freud in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh, nice. Sweet, dude. Excellent. I couldn't think of the right movie.
Crusher notifies Picard, and while we wait for him to arrive, Paul explains that he touched another dimension, and part of him is still there. And he describes his mind as like floating between these two places, and it's really hard to focus and figure out where he is.
So that's what's wrong with him. Picard and Data and Troy come in, and he introduces himself as Captain Picard. And Mannheim's like, "Oh, it's you. You're the one my wife's been just gushing about.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one I can't live up to."
He was like, "She didn't tell me everything, but I heard enough."
Yeah.
Whoa.
But Picard gets right to the point. The situation isn't good, but Mannheim is like, "Yeah, I've really fucked up. It's gonna get worse. How do we stop it?" And it's because he's like straddling two dimensions. He can't hardly keep together. He's trying to you probably won't understand any of this. You guys aren't smart enough. But Data comes in and like, I'm fully versed. I'm fully functional.
How fully?
In every way, of course. I am programmed in multiple techniques. A broad variety of pleasuring.
I'm an android, so I'm up to date on all your theories regarding time and gravity. So Data proves, I know exactly what you've done. I know exactly what this technology is that you're trying to do.
At first, Mannheim's like, well, your knowledge is useless because those were all old theories, and we came here and completely made it all obsolete. But Data's like, well, did you figure out how to harness a dynamic energy source? And Mannheim's like, yeah, okay, this guy understands.
Like I told you, like Data told you.
Mm-hmm. So he explains how they found this energy source in the center of a planet and learned to enhance and focus it. And between the energy in the planet and the energy from the pulsar, they were able to open a crack into another dimension. But Paul thought it was confined to the planet. Everybody thought it was just only on the planet, but it's not. It's light years away now. And so Mannheim's like, shit. Well, we got to get down there and execute a controlled shutdown of the experiment. You have to click start shutdown. You can't just hold down the power button.
His notes are in the lab, but the lab is fucking like locked or whatever because of the security.
He's like, I'll give you my security code. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's password 1, 2, 3.
Yes. And if it's not that, it's password 1, 2, 3 exclamation mark. So he gives them the coordinates to beam down safely and the code to the Brinks laboratory security system. And then he sort of slips back into his between two realities stupor. Picard, Riker, Data, and Worf convene in the conference room, and Data thinks they're going to be able to pull this all off, assuming the information Mannheim provided is correct. They're going to have to time this perfectly to coincide with another time distortion event, and he thinks he'll be able to predict the timing. And then Janice shows up, and she's ready to have a long-needed talk about that day at the cafe. Where the fuck were you?
Yeah. Riker, Data, and Worf get the fuck out of there. Like, we don't want to be around. And she does say, we've got unfinished business. And she says, why didn't you come and meet me? Right down to the point. Why didn't you come and meet me that last day in Paris? And he tells the truth, and he says, I was afraid. And she's like, I was hoping for a lie. A nice, soft, painless lie. But
yeah, so he starts making shit up. Well, I got the days confused. I went to the wrong cafe. I lost your number. Shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, and it was raining and you couldn't find a cab. And he's like, yeah, that's a good one. And then she turns it serious again. It was raining that day and all the rest of the week. And I waited all fucking day. I went to Starfleet looking for you and you'd already left. So yeah, let's hear the truth. And it was fear. It was the fear of seeing her, losing his resolve, maybe staying there and losing himself. It sounds like he wasn't entirely sure that either of these choices were going to be quote unquote right.
Mm-hmm.
He could have stayed with her, not taken a space job, and maybe have had like a great happy life, but always have the itch for the space job.
Right.
Or take the space job and always wonder what might have been with that pretty blonde at the cafe. And I think we've all been there.
Yeah. There's times in your life where you know the choice that you have to make is gonna be a life-changing one, and it's one of those fork in the road life-changing decisions, and you always hope to make the right one. And I don't know. There's no way to know which one.
As this conversation progresses, their physicality changes too. They start this conversation out on opposite ends of that long conference table, but as they talk through their shit, they get a little bit closer.
Oh, I'm sure that was done
Intentionally, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. She said something here like she was she thinks the real reason he left was that life with her would have made him somehow ordinary, and that just was not for Jean-Luc Picard to be ordinary.
Yeah, and I don't know that I buy that that's a thing in him. I don't know that I buy that that's in his character, because apparently that's a truth, because Picard's like, yep, that was it. Am I that transparent?
Well, I mean, it was when he was younger, 22 years ago. Do you realize that, okay, this is 1987, 88. He was 47 years old. That's all.
Yep.
He was younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
So all that to say, lots of stuff can change.
Yeah.
Like who you are now, but it's just amazing to me when I look at him. He always looked old. I'm like, no offense, Patrick.
No,
Stewart.
you're right. He grayed and balded very early.
And he always looked old, and he probably looked the same for like 20 years.
Right.
Like he didn't age for 25 years.
Yep.
But yeah.
Oh, I got the days confused. I thought it was Tuesday when it was Wednesday. I went to the Café Moulin instead of the Café des Artistes.
Ah, that's better.
In sickbay, why is Beverly stroking his hair?
I don't know. That was weird.
Okay, I was like,
she's trying to like, you would do that to someone familial. You would not do that to the stranger you just beamed up.
No, she's stroking his hair and saying, "I wish I could talk to you. I bet you're really something."
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening? Troy comes in and fakes a reason to be there. She's like, "Oh yeah, I want to see how he's doing." And Crusher already knows that's not why you're here. And Troy's like, "I thought I was the empath." She's just basically checking on her friend because, Betazoid. She knows what's going on. She feels it all.
So they go into Beverly's office and Troy starts interrogating Crusher on her feelings about this thing with Picard and his old flame.
Mm-hmm.
And Crusher's like, listen, I'm not talking about it. We're not going to have this conversation.
She says, I can't compete with a ghost from his past. Oh, but you can do lots of other interesting things with ghosts,
Oh
my. Back on the bridge, Data's calculated the next time distortion to somewhere between 28 and 47 minutes.
Oh, that's pretty broad.
Yeah, all right. How do we narrow that down? When Crusher calls Picard back to sickbay because Dr. Mannheim is awake and asking to speak with Picard alone.
Mm-hmm.
Mannheim's pretense here was to make up some shit about not being sure he had those security codes right. But really what he wanted to talk about was Janice. Picard's not all about that. And he's like, I'm not here to talk about your wife with you. But Mannheim insists. He's like, listen, if shit goes sideways, take care of her, will ya?
Weird. Like, here's my wife. Take care of her. She wanted you anyway. So
Yeah.
if I'm gone, want you to take care of her. Like,
So weird. And he talks about how, like, the most recent few years, he was so deep into his work that she could have probably just up and left, and he might not even have noticed. That's how obsessed he's been. And he says, perhaps I'm not a man who should have a woman like her. She deserves better. And Picard counters, you underestimate her. I know because I once did. Just an awkward conversation that you would have.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird. She's not a piece of meat. Okay,
Right.
people.
Right.
So Data and Picard are talking in the hallway, talking about how the distortions occurred along the same continuum as like a preview. And Picard tells him, I want you to go. You're technically, he doesn't say this, but you're a machine. You'll be fine. There's a chance, that a human could get affected the way that Mannheim is getting affected. So Data's like, no, it's fine. It's reasonable. I am a machine and dispensable. And no, Picard's like, no, you're indispensable. But it should only be you because you have the ability to control how it affects you. Like humans may not.
Data's like, that's true. I see time as a constant where humans perceive time as flexible, hence the expression, time flies when you're having fun, which I never got until just now.
And then, so then Picard jumps on that, like,
oh my God. Yes,
what do you call
and.
it? That little, what do you call it? Cliche train.
Mhm.
And he's like, well, I want you to put a stitch in time and save more than 9. And of course, Data doesn't get it. Like he knows some of these little sayings, but not all of them. So that just went right over his head.
For some reason, Geordi is in the transporter room with Herbert to send Data down to the planet. And he arrives as planned and heads toward the lab, but some phaser blasts start lighting up the room. So we get to see Data stunt guy do a bunch of fun jumps and rolls and shit around the room.
Yeah, this was like that one episode where the AI took over in that lab. I'm like, oh no, it's the same. It's that fucking laser again.
Ugly
AI
bags
laser.
of mostly water.
So yeah, cool jump and roll
And of course, Data expertly takes out these weapon emitters.
Yep.
He puts in the code to open the door to the lab, which is like these beams of light, like these long fluorescent light bulbs is what they kind of look like, but they only open part way. So he has to like squeeze his cheeks to slip through. and in the middle of the room, there's this weird distortion effect happening.
I see time as a constant, whereas humans perceive time as flexible. Hence the expression, time flies when you're having fun, which until now has always confused me.
Data relays all of this back to the D. He finds the console and confirms that the next time event will happen in 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Shit. That was like a big time jump.
All of this is theoretical, but in order to shut it down, he's going to have to add some amount of antimatter into the system at the precise moment that the time effect hits.
Picard's like, will that plug the hole? the hole in time? And like you said, it's theoretical. Data has no idea actually if this is going to work.
He asks Geordi to provide a countdown, and Geordi's like, I'll do Mr. Sulu proud.
Oh, yeah.
But he grabs this, like the old people grabber thing where you get things up off the high shelf and picks up this container that presumably has antimatter in it. Suddenly, everything goes wonky again, and when Data turns back around, he sees another Data in the past just picking up the antimatter, and another Data between them walking the antimatter toward the distortion. And so now we have a who's the real Data.
But you also hear Geordi counting, and his counting gets like staggered, so you can hear like 3 people counting as well.
So Data number 2 somehow, I don't understand how, quickly determines he is the one in the correct time continuum. And just as he joins Data number 1 at the distortion and drops the antimatter, everything flashes white, and now there's only one Data again. The distortion is gone, and Picard asks if it's closed, and Data's like, closed indicates a permanent condition, which I cannot guarantee. It's patched. We'll say patched.
Good enough.
Oh my
Come
God.
Come on back home.
In sick bay, Dr. Mannheim is back to his normal self now, too. Picard enters just as he's asking for his wife, and she's there and goes to his side, and they have a lovely reunion with Picard just awkwardly standing in the background watching.
So awkward.
He starts going on about this experience he's had. It sounds like a real fucking peyote trip or something. He doesn't have the words to describe it yet, but he does say that he experienced other life. Not like us, not like this at all. And then he asks about his lab, and Picard's like, oh, there may have been a little heater fire, but it's mostly intact. And Janice is like, you're kidding me, right? We're not going back there. But he talks her right into it.
Yep. And she's like, yep, I'm going, you know.
He does this like, I promise this time it'll be different, which really gave me like abuser vibes. And
oh, totally.
I do not like that feeling at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to ignore you for my work this time, baby. I promise.
This will be different. How? Why? Why is it different? Yeah.
She accepts this fate for some reason and says, you said my life would never be dull, and it never has been. Well, there's only one loose end left to tie off. Troy escorts Janice to the holodeck where Picard is waiting for her at the cafe this time. Like most people who haven't experienced a holodeck before, she is just gobsmacked at how real this is. Everybody always plays this over the top, like, wow, I can't believe how real this is.
Like,
I love it.
Surely, like, if one ship has holodeck, surely the word has gotten out and, other people, but whatever. So, yeah, they've got champagne on ice, and she's like, I don't want to know how you did it. Just, it's fine. I don't need to know the magic behind it. But it's just like they were there 22 years ago. And he pours her a glass of chilled champagne, and he tells her that he wants to say goodbye the right way, properly this time.
He says he'll always picture her here, and she says she expects him to always come charging to her rescue, and they say goodbye. And she turns to leave, but realizes that the door is gone. This was a great bit. And so she stops and turns around and like, well, I guess that there goes my dramatically romantic exit. And of course, saying the word exit triggers the door to appear, and she leaves. Back on the bridge, we get a very TOS style chair chat comedy bit. In case you'd forgotten, we were on our way to shore leave at the top of this episode. So they resume the course for Serona 8, and Riker starts talking about this club he went to one time, but he doesn't remember the name. And Troy's like, oh, no, I know that one. It's across from the Zanza Men's Pickle Palace. And as the comedic TOS style music plays, Picard says, it's called the Blue Parrot Cafe. And he kind of points at Troy and says, and you're buying. All right, well, off we go to the Blue Parrot Cafe adventure.
I love it.
Boy, I'm sure glad that's over with.
I'll be glad to be relieved of this cargo.
Me too.
It is done, and perhaps just as well.
Yeah, but I learned something today.
I sincerely hope that this is the last time that I find myself here.
You just don't get it, do you, Jean-Luc? You see, of all the species, yours cannot abide stagnation. Change is at the heart of what you are. That is the exploration that awaits you. Not mapping stars, studying nebula, but charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
Man, I had a lot of feelings about this episode, and I don't know how well any of it ties into humanism proper. But like the idea of old flames and wondering what might have been is such a common human experience. I mean, I think we all have at least one of those I wonder people in our lives.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, sure. It's more like I wish I hadn't, or I'm glad I didn't. Those are the feelings that I pretty
Okay.
much have. I'm glad I didn't, or I wish I hadn't. But no one that I felt that I had unfinished business with. Do you
No.
have someone that you? Oh, well, maybe we don't want to say.
Not that I
Scratch
have
that question.
Not that I have unfinished business with, just that like this was a person that I thought I would end up with and didn't for whatever reasons. And like, and you move on and you find other people, and you know, it's not that you're unhappy or unfulfilled in any way, but like, I think there's something in us that will always wonder what might have been.
Yeah. I appreciate Picard's honesty, like emotionally being honest in hers too. They weren't like mad at each other or anything, but I feel like it was really casual. Like while her husband is in sickbay dying, and the fucking time continuum is completely fucked up. They're going to Paris in the holodeck,
right?
Or stuff like that. And I just thought it was really calm, but I do appreciate that they both moved on and they handled their unfinished business.
Yeah. I love the way that they wrote the A story to center around a time distortion.
Yeah.
And then the B story with Picard and his lost love is very much about time as well. Like looking back at the past, but also living in the present and thinking about the future. Those two like seemingly disconnected ideas are connected in such an interesting way.
Very much, very much. And then also, like we talked about at the beginning, those ethics about scientific like experimentation and stuff. Like where is Starfleet when he's doing all of these experiments? Is there any sort of oversight? Like,
is he under the purview of the Federation? Is this Federation planet? Is it?
Yeah, but still,
we know none of that.
Yeah, and I feel like as humans, we can't just go and start doing shit, experimenting without any sort of oversight, because he fucked up the time, fucked up himself. Enterprise comes to the rescue, and then he goes back to doing what he was fucking doing.
Right. He's like, yep, I'm going to continue this research even after all of this happened.
And then Picard did mention, oh, well, maybe the Federation will help you out with that.
Yeah.
But that was like it. I feel like they should have okay, we need to put some guards in place to keep this ethical and make sure that you don't fuck up the entire galaxy, which is what we should have. We should have some ethical guards in place to make sure we don't create dinosaurs. But
we're closing all those departments down and firing their staff. So
yeah.
Everything will be fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, the next generation won't know science anyway, so it's not like we're never going to get that far at this rate. They're not even going to, we'll be lucky if they know how to read.
That ain't no shit. No kidding.
We can handle all the pleasantries later. Now, let's get down to business.
I am willing to pay handsomely for you. I think you've had a little too much to drink.
Now, what do you know about my money?
Your money?
The money he stole!
You stole his money?
Those vouchers I gave you were every bit as good as Latinum.
You can spend Latinum almost anywhere. Those vouchers are only good at your bar.
We want to thank everyone that supports the show. We especially want to thank our founding admirals over at patreon.com/humanisttrek. Thank you to Russell, Ali, Peter, Sarah, Sherry, Bruce, and Bear and Cured Podcast. Thank you all so much for supporting the show.
Thank you, guys.
Captain, Starfleet Academy is requesting an update on our estimated arrival.
Finalists, please take your seats.
I must admit you have a very fast mind. Once I realized it was a trick question, there was only one answer.
Although only one student will be chosen for the Academy, any of you could easily qualify. Candidates, good luck.
You got called to the superintendent's office. It's a story I'd like to hear.
Becca's back now with the answer to this week's Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge question for We'll Always Have Paris, which we got correct because we cheated. Remind us the question and the answer.
What souvenir did Patrick Stewart keep from this episode?
It was his old Flames draws.
Affirmative.
Her nasty old draws.
Well, we don't know if they were clean or not.
Probably not.
Some people are, listen, I'm not king shaming.
Why would you give someone clean drawers?
That's
It's got
exactly.
you know they were mhm. you know he had his nose stuck to them fuckers.
As a keepsake, Michelle Phillips gave Patrick Stewart the panties she wore while filming this episode. He kept them pinned to the door of his dressing room for the remainder of the series run.
Now, when I saw that in my research, I clicked to find the source link. And this is why I questioned it during the episode. Because the link took you to like IMDb, and it was just comments that people had added or something. Like there was no real clear verification. So we don't know. Patrick Stewart is allegedly a panty sniffer. Allegedly.
See, my research didn't
Allegedly.
say anything about him sniffing panties. You all made that up.
That's just where we went. Yeah.
I mean, come on. If someone's gonna give me something, the first thing I'm gonna do is smell it. You're like, well, okay,
what?
I'm gonna smell it.
Okay.
What?
No.
Well, if I'm a dude, I'm gonna fucking smell the
How do you
crotch.
know? How do you know what you would do if you were a dude?
Because I've been around a few dudes and I've been married to them, and I know how nasty they are. So I know they would. I
Not
know
all
they
dudes, Allie.
Yes.
Not all dudes.
Not all dudes. Hashtag not all dudes.
Okay, whatever.
Oh my God.
I'm judging. I'm totally judging.
Mhm. All right, next week we'll be reviewing Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1, Episode 25, Conspiracy. The episode we watched last what was that episode that set this up?
Oh shoot, I forgot the name of it. It was two or three episodes ago.
I think it was further back than that.
Oh, hang on.
It was Wesley was taking the bar exam or whatever. Wesley was taking the Starfleet Academy
Coming of
Cadet
age, yeah.
Challenge. Coming of age. So this episode pays off the setup in Coming of Age. Captain Picard and Commander Riker travel to Earth to investigate a conspiracy in the highest ranks of Starfleet Command. And I remember this one as the one being those weird alien creatures that were like little things sticking out of the back of their heads or something.
Yep. I remember, that everyone was under some kind of conspiracy or
Like
not
alien
conspiracy, but
control.
Control.
Yeah. Yep. All right. What's our question for conspiracy?
In close-up shots of the Starfleet HQ banquet, live mealworms were used. But what did the actors actually eat during the filming?
Ah, dang it.
Oh, shit.
Cheetos? No, I'm kidding. Their fingers would have been orange.
Maybe they were. We haven't watched the episode yet.
Oh yeah, score.
It's got to be some kind of pasta, right?
Something you can eat with your hands.
Or is it dead mealworms? Or is it live mealworms? Oh, mealworms. Oh.
They're like maggots, or not quite maggots.
Yeah, so is it some kind of rice, something or other?
I'm trying to think what
Is it
what
what looks like little worms?
like you can pick up like that. Maybe it was some sort of cereal. No.
I'm going to go with some kind of rice product. That's the best I've got.
You know, when I was a kid, I wrote a song about rice. What? So much. I did. Oh my God, I'm sharing way too much because I mean, you already think I'm weird.
We know you're weird. That's why we love you.
But no, I loved rice so much when I was growing up. I hated the sweet rice because some people in the South would put sugar in their rice. I was fuck that.
No, that's not good.
I would put rice and salt and pepper in it. And salt and pepper in my rice. It tastes so good and nice. I eat it day and night. Salt and pepper in my rice. Anyway. I wonder, like, when those worms were moving.
Yeah, but then they switch it so they've got a bowl of worms and they're wiggling around, and that's for the close-up shot. But when they cut away to somebody dropping a handful of worms in their mouth, that's a different thing.
And
what is that
eat
thing?
it though. They did eat it though.
Yeah.
Maybe was it worms? Wait, maybe they made them eat worms. I don't know. I have no idea.
All right, Allie's gonna go with worms. I went with some kind of rice product, and if you'd like to play along, you know how to do that. Head out to your social media, share this episode. Becca's rolling her eyes. Make Becca's eyes roll, and we'll pick out a winner. And next time we'll review Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1, Episode 25, Conspiracy.
Glory to your house, bitches.
Make it so, bitches.
Humanist Trek is available wherever you replicate your podcasts. Follow us on all the social medias at Humanist Trek. Become a patron at patreon.com/humanisttrek. Open hailing frequencies to podcast@humanisttrek.com and visit our website, humanisttrek.com. Humanist Trek is a production of Sarah Austin Media.